Now the third pattern. Third pattern will be dorsal to the transverse process. So therefore, if I draw here, this is post-transverse longitudinal anastomosis. Third one, post-transverse longitudinal anastomosis. So here I will write down on this side. This is the third one, and it is the post-transverse longitudinal anastomosis of somatic intersegmental arteries in the cervical region. The first one was the precostal, we know that. Second one was the postcostal, we will mark it down. Third one, post-transverse. What are the arteries which will develop from post-transverse? There will be development of deep cervical arteries, the deep cervical arteries. Then we go to the inside of the vertebral canal. Inside the vertebral canal, the arteries which are coming inside, these spinal arteries, will form pre and post-neural anastomosis of the spinal branch. So this itself, pre and post-neural, this is the fourth one. It will be known as pre-neural and post-neural anastomosis. Pre and post-neural anastomosis of spinal branch. And this is the fourth longitudinal anastomosis of somatic intersegmental arteries in the cervical region. Please remember this four pattern of anastomosis. Now, please come on this side. We go on that side, vertebral artery. Now here, development of vertebral artery, which is very interesting, and it may be asked, it can be asked in short note also, development of vertebral artery, or if not in short note, it is regularly asked in 1 mark question answer or in MCQs. The first part of vertebral artery, this is the, we know that it is subclavian artery. So basically it is a branch of subclavian artery. First part of vertebral artery from subclavian till the level of foramina transversoria of C6. So here I will make just foramina transversoria and C6. This will be the first part of vertebral artery. It will develop from, please note down, please draw this diagram, it will develop from the, this will be 7th cervical intersegmental artery. But which branch? Dorsal ramus of the 7th cervical intersegmental artery. So the dorsal ramus of the 7th cervical intersegmental artery will develop into the first part of vertebral artery from its origin till entry in the foramen transversoria of C6. Now second part of vertebral artery, see here, this will be the second part of vertebral artery, and here we show 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So C5, C4, C3, C2, C1. Foramina transversoria of upper 6 cervical vertebrae. This is the second part of vertebral artery. It will travel through this. It will develop from, so here this second part will develop from the post-costal anastomosis. And remember this post-costal anastomosis, just now we have learned this post-costal anastomosis. So this post-costal anastomosis in the cervical region will lead to the development of second part of the vertebral artery. Post-costal anastomosis of C1 to C6 somatic intersegmental. But what will happen about the main arterial trunks of C1 to C6 somatic intersegmental arteries? The main arterial trunks will regress. It will slowly disappear. Only their post-costal anastomosis will remain in a form of longitudinal anastomosis, post-costal, which will develop into second part of vertebral artery. Their main trunks will regress. Third part of vertebral artery. Now here, if I make here, this is 1/2 of the, I want to show, this will be atlas, the atlas vertebrae. So the third part of vertebral artery will remain on, pass out of this foramen transversorium and then on the posterior arch of atlas. So here, this will be third part, which will be on the posterior arch of the atlas, vertebral artery. It will develop from the spinal branch of the first cervical intersegmental artery. Please note down. spinal branch of first cervical intersegmental artery will develop into third part of vertebral artery. Then the fourth part is entering inside in the foramen magnum, and it will join with the opposite fourth part, and it will lead to the development of basilar artery. But here this fourth part, this much section within the foramen magnum will develop from, so here I will write down the fourth part, and it will develop from the spinal part, pre-neural anastomosis. Please note down the pre-neural anastomosis of the spinal branch. This much you have to note down. The fourth part of the vertebral artery will develop from the pre-neural anastomosis of the spinal branch. So here we complete the entire vertebral artery. All these 1, 2, 3 and 4 segments will asked, they are routinely asked in MCQs and Viva. So now we come up with the development of the axis artery of upper limb. So now coming up with the development of the arteries of the upper limb. Now in the development of the arteries of the upper limb, always note down number 1. First of all, it will develop from, so here I will note down, it will develop from the lateral ramus, lateral branch of which somatic intersegmental artery? The 7th cervical intersegmental artery. Please note down this. Lateral ramus of the 7th cervical intersegmental artery. It will extend in such a way that, see here, this artery is extending from here. It will extend in such a way that it will pass on the arm through the forearm, and then in the hand it will form the palmar capillary plexus. So here this is just a rough diagram of palmar capillary plexus. So therefore I will note down this as palmar capillary plexus. Initially the arteries of upper and lower limb both, they will develop in the form of a single artery which is called axis artery. This axis artery will be present in the midline of upper limb, midline of the upper limb and lower limb. So axis artery it is called. As I told you, 7th cervical intersegmental artery, lateral ramus. Later on what will happen? Later on there will be several sprouting of various arteries, or several arteries will grow. It will develop from this axis artery. For example, in the forearm there will be development of radial and ulnar arteries. For example, with very light I can show development of radial and then ulnar arteries. Similarly, in the palmar capillary plexus, here it will form the superficial and deep palmar arches. Superficial palmar arch, deep palmar arch. It will develop from this palmar capillary plexus. So in this way, the entire arterial system of upper limb will develop. It is very short. Simplify it. Do not complicate. So the question which is asked here for you people will be in 1 mark question answer, in MCQs, etc. The following is the axis artery of the upper limb, or in the upper limb, the remnants of axis artery are, so we start with number 1, 7th cervical intersegmental artery and its remnant. So the remnant will be, here we will show the axillary artery. Second will be, we show here, brachial artery. Third will be, we show over here, anterior interosseous artery. And fourth will be, we show over here, palmar capillary plexus. So it will develop into superficial and deep palmar arch. So therefore now, based on this diagram, these are the remnants of the axis artery of upper limb. These segments, as I repeat, once again they are asked in 1 mark question answer. Anywhere they can be located, either in Viva or they can be located in MCQs. So these are the remnants of the axis artery of the upper limb. And as I told you, the various branches will develop as the different buds which will sprout from the main axis artery. Now we shift to the lower limb. If we come on this side, please come on this side. In the lower limb also the same pattern of development. First there will be development of, here I will draw, there will be development of one dorsal artery. See here, this will be the dorsal artery, and later on it will then split into, in the foot, that will lead to development of plantar arterial arches. This entire dorsal axis artery in the lower limb. From this dorsal axis artery, first artery to develop will be in the ventral region where femoral artery will develop. In the ventral portion of thigh, there will be a branch, femoral artery, and then it will again join with this original axis artery. Now, the starting point of this axis artery will be, there is a connection, if you recollect, the starting point will be, here we start with, the starting point will be the fifth lumbar intersegmental artery. So therefore, the fifth lumbar intersegmental artery will start as the original axis artery of the lower limb. It will pass dorsally, deep dorsal in the thigh, then it will pass dorsal in the leg, and then it will pass in the foot as plantar arch. Previously it is called capillary arches, later on it will form the plantar arterial arch. Femoral artery will develop as a offshoot, it will develop as a bud. Later on in the leg where this axis artery is passing, there will be development of posterior tibial artery as well as peroneal artery. Anteriorly there will be development of anterior tibial artery and dorsalis pedis artery. Now, because of these arteries which have developed, and in between the femoral and popliteal, there will be the intermuscular region known as popliteal fossa. So therefore, if you are asked the question, which is the original axis artery of the lower limb, the original axis artery of the lower limb or the remnants of the axis artery of lower limb, we start with fifth lumbar intersegmental artery, then we have inferior gluteal artery. This is often asked in MCQ. Following is the axis artery of the lower limb. Option A, inferior gluteal artery. Option B, superior gluteal artery. Option 3, any other artery, pudendal artery or whatever. Option 4 will be none of the above. So, these type of MCQs are asked. Inferior gluteal artery will be the remnant of axis artery of the lower limb. Along with that, just below inferior gluteal artery, it is known as arteria nervi ischiadici. This is a Latin word. So the meaning of this is artery accompanying sciatic nerve. It is nothing but the artery which accompanies the sciatic nerve is also a remnant of this axis artery below the inferior gluteal artery. Then we come to the fourth one. Here, this artery, very interesting, it will be known as perforating branches of, if you recollect the erector magnus perforators, perforating branches of which artery? Profunda femoris artery. And how this becomes axis artery? Because original, these perforators will be, if I just take this chalk here, original there will be the perforating branches which will be longitudinally anastomosed. So there will be longitudinal anastomosis of the perforating branches of profunda femoris artery. That is also a remnant of axis artery. Please note down, longitudinal anastomosis of the perforating branches of profunda femoris artery. And the last branch which is remaining here will be known as peroneal artery. Now this is the last branch, peroneal artery, and which will continue here in the foot as plantar arterial arch. So plantar arterial arch in the foot will be a remnant of the axis artery. But note down these 5 arteries which are the remnants of the axis artery of the lower down, starting from fifth lumbar intersegmental artery, inferior gluteal artery, then arteria nervi ischiadici, that is the artery accompanying the sciatic nerve, and longitudinal anastomosis between the perforating branches of profunda femoris artery and peroneal artery. Here we end. These are the branches which you have to remember, because it is asked in one mark question answer, the remnants of the axis artery of the lower limb. Now here, please note down, we finished the entire development of the arterial system of the body. Here it is ended. So the embryology, the development of arterial system, we end over here. Tomorrow we will start with the development of venous system. Thank you very much.